all your film from Oregon to the pros to UCLA, and then even at Ohio State, it's all different. I'm just curious, is that a story of you're evolving, or does it go back to what you told us at your first press conference, you adapt to your personnel?
I think you always adapt to your personnel. There's not a system like you'd say, hey, we're going to do this, and then if that's not the strength of your players, I think part of the OTA process for us is getting to understand what the strengths of these players are, and then how do you play to those strengths. You know what I mean? Some teams are heavy running back laden, some teams are heavy wideout laden. Some teams the quarterback's just a drop back guy, but he's not a movement guy. You know, it all depends on who you have personnel wise, and then you try to fit in their strengths into the scheme that you're going to run. And we have a lot of really, really good coaches on our staff, so it's also a blending of that, like where they came from and what they feel really confident in doing, and then really making an evaluation of what each individual group, offensive line, tight ends, running backs, quarterbacks, wideouts do best, and then how do we match that up with a total system and a scheme, because there's enough out there that we've all done, but it's just, you know, the key is matching to our guys' strengths and what they do really, really well.
What is Ashton Jeanty's potential in the offense?
I mean, Ashton is as talented a back as, you know, as a young guy coming in the league that I've seen. You know, he's really special. His ability to sustain runs after contact, you know, his contact balance is kind of a really rare quality. He's got a low center of gravity, you know, and I think it's tough to get him down, and normally the first guy doesn't. And, you know, and you look at all of the tape of his games last year, and it didn't matter who he played, you know, because they obviously played in the Mountain West, but when he played the Oregons and he played the Penn States, you know, you look at how he performed in those games. And I think sometimes you get caught up in just looking at the numbers, but I think it was like 35 missed tackles he created in the Penn State game. Now, Penn State's defense, we played against them, they're outstanding. You know, that was a little bit different league for Boise at that time, but not for Ashton in terms of what he did. So excited to see him. It's different, obviously, as we know, during OTAs, because it's not tackle. We're not taking guys to the ground. I don't think he'll get tackled until we get to our first preseason game. But, you know, I'm really excited. The one thing about him is he's a really quick learner. He also had experience there with Dirk Cutter was his offensive coordinator in his last year. Dirk's been a longtime coach in this league, been a head coach in this league, and is a really, really good football guy. So he came in with a good basis and understanding. And so he's done a great job. He really, really excited to work with him. That's you know, I know everybody in the offensive staff was excited when Spy made that selection.
When you say coach to your strengths, what does that mean with Geno? What is he showing you?
Well, that's the beauty of Geno is that Geno's been in multiple systems now, and there's a lot of things Geno can do. You know, so I don't think you can just pigeonhole him. I think he runs better than people really give him credit for. You look at the 2-minute drive against the 49ers at the end of the game, and he runs it in for the winner. I think he can beat you with his feet. He can keep plays alive with his feet. He's extremely accurate. He gets the ball out of his hand quickly. He can be a movement guy, but he can also be a drop back guy. You know, and that's, you know, Pete and Greg Olson, our quarterback coach, had a great understanding because they've coached him for such a long time. And what we saw, you know, in terms of Pete's evaluation, Noah's evaluation of him, is what I've seen here. You know, I think whatever we fit into schematically, offensively, I think Geno can handle all of that.
You recruited Geno when he was coming out of high school, and obviously you coached his cousin last year.
Yeah.
What's your relationship like outside?
It's great, just because Geno's a football guy. Like, Geno loves ball, you know, and you'll get a phone call after OTA, after phase 2. You know, we'll talk on a Tuesday night about what transpired in that day. And we're going against ourselves. Like, we hadn't gone against the defense yet, but have a conversation about this, and then how do you see this? And, you know, and really lean on him a little bit because of his wealth of experience. And he's been through different coordinators in this league and some really good ones. So, like, hey, how did Shane do this when you were with him, or how did Grubb do this when you were with him, and kind of pick his brain that way, and then put together what's the best thing for us going forward. But he's great. Geno's literally like a second coach. You know, when you're in that room with him and Greg Olson, it's, you know, there's a lot of ideas going around, and then it's just a matter of corralling it, because sometimes you can have too many ideas. Like, let's try to do a million things, and then you don't get good at one thing. But, you know, his football acumen is really off the charts, and it's impressive to be around him.
Chip, Michael Mayer was the guy that was drafted here with high accolades. You were in the college game when he was doing everything in college. And it feels like there's a lot left on the bone there with Michael Mayer. How does he kind of find his way?
How old is he? How old is he?
Exactly.
A lot left on the bone. I mean, he's 23?
No doubt about it.
Remember when we were 23?
Yeah, right. Not really, actually, unfortunately. But
he had a rough upbringing then.
Yeah. But Brock Bowers,
am I right?
It was too good. It was too good. But Brock Bowers, he comes in and sort of takes some of the luster away. But how do you kind of figure out a way to get the most out of Michael Meyers?
I think Mike has been outstanding since I've been here. And for all of us, we came in kind of tabula rasa. We're a blank slate. We watch film of all the players just to kind of get an understanding of what they did, but didn't make any decisions on anything until you see him here. And Mike's been fantastic since day one of the off-season program when we started early in April there. And what he did just in the weight room, what he's done in the meeting room, and then what we did in phase 2, and then what he's continued to do here. So really, really excited about him. And there's never a position anywhere where a coach will say, you know what, we have too many good players. Like that's never the case, especially in this league, because everybody's really talented that you're going to go against. So the more tight ends we can get, the more wideouts we can get, the more running backs we can get, the more quarterbacks you can get, then we'll continue to take them. But I think Mike's been outstanding. And I checked, you can play with 2 tight ends in a game at the same time. And sometimes you can play with 3 tight ends, they told me. So maybe we can get to that if we have to. Obviously, you're going to try to attack each team you're playing each week differently, depending on how they defend you. But, to be able to have that ability and have a couple quality guys, because Ian Thomas has been outstanding, and he's a guy that's played a lot of snaps in this league too. So
you drafted 2 guys that saw a high volume of targets today, and Jack Besh and Dante. What have you really liked from them so far, and how have you been able to see their development?
They're learning, and I think Dante is a unique in terms of he's just a hair under 6'5", and he ran 4.3. There's not a lot of humans on this planet that do that, and I think if you had to draw up an outside receiver, you would pick that type of body type, someone that's got length, someone that's got a huge catch radius, but also has speed. Sometimes you can get a big guy like that, but he can't really run, so they can stay with him. So, you add that speed element to him, his ability to sink his hips, his ability to get in and out of cuts. But for all of those guys, they're all learning a new system. So some of them came from, I think Ashton was probably fortunate coming from Dirk's system at Boise because it's a little bit more pro-friendly. Some other guys are playing up-tempo, throwing the ball all over, one-word calls and going. And so everybody's on a different level when they come in, and it's just a matter of them getting acclimated. And Chris Beatty's doing a great job with those guys, but they've both shown that they're good players, and I will continue to see how they go.
Chip, Geno's leadership is undervalued by a lot of people, but I mentioned to Greg Olson yesterday, can he be a blessing to an Aiden O'Connell just for what he's going to bring to him, his coaching and mentoring and all of that?
Yeah, Geno can be a blessing to coaches, and I can attest to you to that. I think Geno's special. And so, yeah, I think you're spot on with that. I think he's got great leadership qualities. I think everybody is a byproduct of their environment, and I think how Geno came through his career, and you look at the arcs of his career, being a high draft pick and going to New York and then headed to San Diego and then kind of almost restarting his career when he got with Pete. But Pete brought him in as a backup. Russell was there, and then all of a sudden earning the starting job, Russell gets traded, and now Geno gets to show what he can do. There's not a lot of guys that would have shown that resiliency. There's not a lot of guys that would have been persevered through all of that. But I think you can look at him as a younger player, or you could look at him as an older coach and admire the journey that he's been on and just say, because it's hard to talk the talk if you have never walked the walk. And Geno's been in all those shoes, and I think that's one thing that really he's so relatable to everybody in this program because he's kind of lived that life. He's been a high draft pick, but he's also been a guy that has been told that a team doesn't want him. And so I think until you actually go through that situation, it's hard to kind of fathom. But the fact that he's done it and come out and to be the way he is now is really a testament to him. He's special, and we're really, really excited that we have him. So.
Ashton made a lot of headlines when he said you asked him to change his stance.
All right, let's get that clarified.
Okay.
Dylan McCullough, our running back coach, is in charge of stances, steps, alignments, assignments, and techniques. So he talked to him about that. I gave him an analogy of an athlete being in a bent knee position to make a play, and that kind of got blown into. I haven't told anybody on this team to be in any stances because I don't coach a position. So, but it's a bent knee game. Baseball is, if you look at before the ball snapped in baseball, or the pitch is thrown in baseball, everybody's got their knees bent. In any athletic sport you're playing, you got to bend your knees. And if you got to run a flat route on Fred Warner, you better be in a position to run because that dude can fly. So all we're trying to do is put guys in positions to make plays, and he's adapted really well from going from here to here. So it literally is about 3 inches. So I really don't think that is that big a deal. So. But he's awesome, and he's such a coachable guy that you can do a lot of things with him. I think he can play in the slot. He can play in the backfield. He can do a lot of different things. So he's special.
Coach, how exciting is it for you to have a player like Brock Bowers and to watch his growth and ascension?
Yeah, you know, it was neat because Brock wasn't here for the beginning of phase 2 because he was back at Georgia getting his degree, which was awesome. So he finished school up and then came here. So I missed the first 2 or 3 weeks of phase 2. So we didn't see him when all the first year, when we got to see everybody our first glimpse. But when he came in here, he was as advertised, and unbelievable work ethic, unbelievable attention to detail. You know, all the things you're looking for in a player, along with just a unique skill set. To have a guy, you know, that big and that athletic and moves in that way is kind of special. So we're really excited about what he can bring for us. So.
Do you have something you want to be like the identity of your offense? That's what you want your offense to look like?
JWV. Just win, baby. There was a legendary person in this organization, and it's the truth. There are games you're going to win 9-6, and there are games you're going to have to win 38-37. And do you do enough on each side of the ball in phases to contribute to winning? Because winning in this league is hard. The last team that went undefeated in this league was the 72 Dolphins, so it's been a long, long time. Everybody that's been in this league or spent any time in this league knows how hard it is to win, and it really is just win, baby. And how do you do that? Each week your game plan has to understand who's available, who you're playing against, and can we score enough points that we score one more than our opponent? And that's really hopefully what our identity is that we do enough on our side to help our defense and help our special teams beat whoever we're playing on any given Sunday. So.
Sure, when it comes to the offensive line, obviously there's no pads and much
Yeah.
contact this time of year, but how do you evaluate those guys at this point? What do you kind of focus on?
It's the most difficult, you know, because there are no pads, and it's how are they picking up schemes? How are they working together? Are they making the right calls? Are they identifying the defense in the proper manner so that we're on the right people? But it's almost like you're looking at their first 2 steps, and then after that, they're pulling out of it, and the D-line's pulling out of it too. You know, there's times where Max will take 2 and then take a step and then just stop because we're not in full pads, and you have to learn to practice in this format because you're going to have to practice this way during the season. Also, you know, you're not going to be in pads every day during the season. So, I think they're doing a good job from that standpoint. But you still can't get a full evaluation of them until you get a chance to see them and, you know, practice opportunities, whether it's against other teams or in preseason games or when we get the opportunity in the off season. This off season we can't, but when we get back in late July and August, you'll be able to put pads on, and then we'll be able to see a little bit more of those guys.
How has it been building that working relationship with Pete Carroll?
It's been great. I knew Pete from my first year as a head coach in the Pac-10. Back in those days, was Pete's last year in the league, so I got a chance to compete against him then and meet him at league meetings and, you know, watch what he had done, and obviously admired the success that he had and the championships that he won when he was at Southern Cal, and then watching him go to the league and the success he had in Seattle. So to get a chance to work with him and see him on a daily basis. I know people that have worked for him, so you always discuss that with him. You know, what's it like working? And it's the same every day. You know, his energy, his consistency, what he brings on a daily basis is positive. But it's not just positive for the sake of being positive. It's just that's kind of how he sees things, and he believes, you know, if you outwork people, if you have a crystal clear vision of what you want to get accomplished, and you can get a group of people to do the same exact thing, then good things are going to happen to you. And I think he's got this team believing. You know, he has his coaching staff believing. So it's been a lot of fun. You get energized when you come in this building every single day.
We're going to wrap it up with Nick and then Q.
Jakobi Meyers has always been considered one of the more underrated players in the league, and now he has a big opportunity ahead of him coming off a 1,000-yard season, top wideout. You know, what do you make of Jakobi so far?
Yeah, I think he's versatile. He can play both inside and outside receiver. He's got experience doing both. You know, his ability in terms of catching the football, you know, his drop rate, I think, is 0. You know, he's just anything thrown in his direction, he seems to somehow come down on. I think he's got a really good understanding of coverage and schemes where he knows how to get himself open at the appropriate time. And that's part of it. You know, being a receiver is you have to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there with separation and catch a football. And he can do all 4 of those things. So really the leader of that group. And we're young at the wideout spot, but, you know, for those guys to be able to rely on someone like Jakobi to kind of been there, done that. It's been in 2 organizations and was really good at both. And just really happy that we get a chance to work with him and, you know, have at least a veteran, him and Trey, out there at the wideout spots that can help some of the young guys out there.
Coach, how have you seen the evolution of the offenses from the time high flying there in Oregon, winning national championship last year, where you are now, back in the NFL, and offensive skill players as well?
Yeah, I mean, the game is cyclical. You know, I go way back with the first time the Dallas Cowboys and Tom Landry ran the shotgun. They were like, what was that? But that's what single wing football that people had been running for all the time. And Dutch Meyers and TCU was doing it in the 50s with 5 wide receivers and running around. And everybody thinks they've got all these wide receivers on the field. They did that before. You know, the game goes on and on if you're a historian of the game. And I enjoy that part of it. But I still think it's still about fundamentals. It's still about who can block the best and who can keep their quarterback clean so that he can throw routes, who can sink, plant, and cut, and create separation so that they can catch the football when it's thrown to them. You know, who tackles better on defense? You know, can you make a guy miss in the open field, or does the unblocked guy make the play? It's still a fundamental game, but it takes ebbs and flows, and it's neat watching its evolution and how it goes from this to this to this, because if the defense has an advantage, somehow the offense catches up, and then they have to change, and then the offense comes up with something new, or something they think is new, but then all they're doing is studying what people did in the way past. You know, you look at some of the things that like Josh Allen's doing, or Lamar Jackson. That's single wing football where you're snapping it to the quarterback, and he becomes an extra back because he's not the running back. He's actually a quarterback that can run, and that's a different level. You had never really seen that in the NFL before, like people that were really going to run the quarterback, you know, because is he going to last and play the next game? Now, when you have 2 special talents like that, you can do that. So it's been fun to watch it, you know, and I think the guys that are really good at it can figure out what's the best thing to apply to the group they have based on the personnel that they have. So I'm always a fan to kind of see what's next. And then once you see what's next, is that applicable to what we do, or is that, you know, that's good, but I don't think because of what we have personnel-wise, that kind of fits what we do. So you just kind of file it away, and then maybe a year or 2 later, if one of those players comes into your program or organization, then you can say, hey, you know, we could kind of start to do a little bit what those guys are doing over there because we have a similar type player. But it's always about, like you said earlier, adapting your personnel and finding out what their strengths are and then trying to play to those strengths. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Pretty good, thank you.
Geno, everyone knows what you can do with the football in your hand, but another reason you're here is because you're an excellent leader off of the football field. Would you talk about that side of who you are as a man?
Yeah, I think leadership to me comes naturally. You know, being the oldest child in my family, you know, so always having to lead by example. And, you know, I think for me, when you talk about leadership, you know, it really comes down to integrity. You know, it's a big thing for me is what you do when no one's watching. And I try to, you know, be a passionate leader, but I also try to lead by example. So I'm not the biggest talker. You know, instead I'm the guy who's trying to be the hardest worker. And so I just want to continue to lead, you know, by example and, you know, push myself, push my teammates to get better.
We saw you connecting with Brock Bowers, Jakobi Meyers, Trey Tucker. Like, what do you think of your new weapons here in Las Vegas?
Man, I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy to be out here with these young, talented players, man. I think we have a really good team, a really good, you know, array of weapons, and just a bunch of different guys that can do a lot of great things. And so, you know, obviously Brock is who he is. Getting to know Trey, getting to know Jakobi, and watching Michael go out there and make plays. You know, Ashton's coming along. The offensive line's doing a great job. I think Chip is, you know, calling great plays. And, you know, it's really easy for me. I just got to go out there and be myself and get the ball into their hands and let them be special.
Geno, what is it like working with Chip Kelly? He recruited you, and now you're playing for him.
You know, in many ways, it's a dream come true because I've always revered, you know, Coach Kelly, and I've always thought he's been an excellent coach throughout his career and a guy who I've, you know, really, you know, wanted to play for, you know, even back then when I was in high school. It didn't work out that way, but you know, God works in mysterious ways, and here we are today in Las Vegas. And so, you know, being with Chip, you get to know him as a man, know what he's about, outstanding human being, but also just a great mind. And, you know, he has a great mind for football and understands how to motivate guys, and I think that's a really good trait that he has.
How would you describe this offense?
I think the offense is, you know, like I say all the time, we want to be efficient. That's the main thing, right? We want to do well in the situations, the third downs, the red zones, but also we want to be explosive, you know. And so when teams come up and play us in man-to-man, you know, we got guys who are going to win those matchups. And, you know, I really feel good about where we are. Still a work in progress, but we're in a good spot, and, you know, we just got to keep working hard to get better.
When you hear people talk about Pete Carroll, whether it's coaches or players, one of the things they point out is his ability to connect with people on a human level. From your experience, what makes him so good at doing that?
I think Coach Carroll is extremely relatable. I think he understands that guys have got to be themselves in order to be their best selves, and he allows guys to go out there and really, just be themselves. And he's a fun person to be around if you've ever been around him. You see just how, positive he always is. He's always got a bright smile. He's always laughing, joking around. And, to have him as a coach, he's a part of the team. It's not him above the team or, anyone above the team. It's everyone together collectively, and I think that's what he does a great job of doing, is creating a collective mindset for everyone.
I know it's super early for Ashton, but when you see him do some of the things that he does, even just in this setting,
yeah.
I mean, you've seen some great players and
Yes,
guys
I
that
have.
are cut above.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about when you see a young player like that?
I think Ashton, just from getting to know him, man, he's so wise beyond his years. Just super humble. For all the accolades he's gotten, to be one of the highest drafted running backs in a while. Super humble, super hardworking, asking the right questions. He wants to learn from the vets, and he's special with that ball in his hands. We know that, and we got to keep getting it to him so he can go out there and be great. But we'll see when the pads come on exactly what he's about, because that's truly what makes him different, is his ability to break tackles and bounce off of contact and continue to run. But just in the short time he's been here, he's picked up the offense well, and he's doing a great job. So he's got to keep it up.
When you take a new job and you get a receiver like Jakobi with over 1,000 yards who dropped 0 balls,
love that.
What is he going to mean to you as his quarterback?
You know what? It's my job to throw him the ball and get it to him in the right places and make it easy on him, make the catches easy for him. I know he's going to make great catches and make me look good all the time. So my job is to make sure that I'm feeding him the ball and getting the ball in the right spots, and allow him to go out there and be great and get his shine on.
You already played him a couple of times, when you were in Seattle, but now having to face Max Crosby every day in practice, how different is that, just now seeing him in person and then really having your iron sharp?
Yeah, it's the same as it was when we played him in Seattle, man. It's pressure every time. We're talking every time. Max is a great player. I got to know him a little bit more at the Pro Bowl a few years back, which was here. And just in my short time being here, just one of the hardest working guys I've ever seen. One of the guys who's more committed to football than anyone. He loves the game. You can tell he's passionate about it, and he's got a great leadership style. And so, I think guys naturally can follow him, especially when you got a guy who's working that hard. And he's a special player, man. It's great to have him on my side now and not have to run from him. So it's really good.
Was it Coach Carroll? Was it the opportunity? What excited you the most? Why here?
Everything about it. Coach Carroll, Las Vegas, the Raiders, the silver and black. This is a historic franchise, one of the most historic franchises in all of sports. And so to be a part of that, to say I can wear this logo and to wear that helmet, man, is special to me. But the players on this team, I watched a ton of film on them. A lot of great players on this team, and they're heading in the right direction. And so just wanted to be a part of that.
Just to piggyback off of that and building on this offense, now that you've got your feet a little bit wet and had time to work with everybody, where is your mindset at with what you want to accomplish on a personal level? Yeah,
just get better every day. Get better every single day. I don't look too far into the future. I just focus on what's in front of me. And right now, we had a great practice today. I thought we did a lot of great things, and I think we're moving in the right direction. But it's about consistent effort, and it's a daily thing. I think if you can consistently make the right decisions, eventually you'll end up in the right spot. So for me, it's just focusing on the day-to-day, and I don't really get too far ahead of that.
You were talking about Ashton. Everybody knows what he can do with the ball. One of the biggest challenges for a rookie running back is the pass game. Picking up protections and stuff like that. He's not blocking necessarily right now. Where is he in his understanding of the passing and what you need from him?
Really smart. I think he's right where he needs to be. Obviously, as a rookie, you can always get better and can learn things. We all can. I'm still getting better myself. So there's never going to be an end to that. But as far as where he is now, he's right in there with us with the ones. He's not making any mistakes. He's out there doing a great job in protection. He's smart. He understands what we're trying to get accomplished, and he does a great job.
How do you think your NFL journey made you a better quarterback?
Yeah, I think it did. I think anytime you can experience different things and can learn from different, whether it's different players, different coaches, I got to experience some things from the sideline. I thought I, was able to see the game better once I stepped back in there, and I think it's because I took those reps serious, the mental reps of being on the sideline and not just being there, being a part of it and really trying to help my team win, even from the back sometimes. And so now that I'm in this position, I've always cherished it, but I guess I could say I cherish it a little bit more.
You've been in the Big Apple, the Pacific Northwest. Now you're in the desert. It's been some time since you got here. So what do you think about living and working here in Las Vegas?
I love it so far. Super hot, as you can see, drenched in sweat, but it makes for great days of practice. We get a lot of good work in. the community, man. Just the people that I've met so far, outstanding people. Love the Raiders. It's a fun area, but for the most part, it's really laid back, and so that's right up my alley, man. I'm just a homebody. I like to stay home, and so it's a great area, and it's a great place to be for me.
You mentioned playing for the Raiders is so special already, being an iconic franchise. The team's only been in Las Vegas for 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So how inspiring and motivational is it to be able to grow the brand here and also start this new chapter of winning in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, that's very important, winning. It's always been a part of the Raiders. It's in our DNA here. And so winning is something that we want to do right now. And being a part of this, man, just seeing the direction everything's going and how hard these guys are working and just how bad, everyone wants to win. Like I said, I'm fortunate to be a part of this thing, and I just want to continue to build it, to continue for this thing to grow. And the sky's the limit for this team, this organization. I can't wait to see, just how it all comes together.
Florida Heat or this Heat?
I'm taking the Florida Heat, but it's it's hot out here. I like it.
By the way, Geno, we've noticed some different cleats you've been wearing out here, including the red Jordan 1s. So,
oh yeah.
What is the kicks like? Just trying to figure out your cleats out here.
Yeah, just trying to figure some things out. Switching up the cleats, switching up the swag every other day. I got a sleeve on today, so just trying to find myself here. But I'll keep it going.
That's good.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
When you only played there?
Yeah, just a little bit. We're getting closer and closer and closer. We're getting
The line's done. Heidi? Just try not to go. Heidi? I think, no, there's probably 2 more.
Yeah, we're still live. Don't go yet. I'm sorry.
What up, y'all? Been a minute. Same.
How's it going so far with Geno?
Cool. Geno a dog, man. I like Geno a lot. It's been real fun seeing the way he spin it, seeing the way he go about his business. He beat me in here every day, which is cool. He know all the play calls, so when I mess up, he can help me out. He a nice vet to have around, so I appreciate Geno.
You always have a positive mindset, but it seems like there's a lot of positivity around the organization right now. How are you feeling, and how is that positivity going?
It's pretty cool, honestly. All the young guys are real excited, so I ain't old yet, but I feel a little bit old. But it definitely gives you a little energy when them boys come in here and they ready to go to work every day, because it hasn't been easy. They pushing us, we working hard, and ain't nobody complaining, so I can't complain.
What are your own impressions of Jeanty so far?
I like him a lot, actually. I like him a lot, actually. I didn't know much about him coming out, but now that he's here, just seeing the different parts of his game, he's not just a guy that can run fast. He got some real receiver capabilities to him. So I'm excited to kind of help grow him and help push him along and just see what he can do on the field when the pass come on.
What's your first season with the Raiders where you're entering as the top wideout, coming off 1,000-yard season, 0 drops? What's the mentality of just building on that, improving yourself as a true alpha wide receiver 1?
Same shit, different day, bro. I've been, you know what I'm saying? I've been doing this since I got in the league, bro. Don't nothing change. I'm really just trying to make plays and go about my business.
Jakobi, what's the biggest difference you've noticed this offseason from your other offseasons in Las Vegas with the Raiders?
Honestly, everything different. I feel like everything is different low-key every year. So, different is low-key the big word there, but we making it work, honestly. It's just coming back in, figuring it out. I guess you could say the staff. They clean house, but like I said, the guys still excited. Everybody's still ready to play, so we're going to make it work.
There's a different energy, though. Everybody's talked about it. How would you describe it?
How would I describe it? What are we talking about?
The energy that comes around with this team right now and the way it's helping build kind of camaraderie with everybody.
I would give a big nod to Pete, honestly. I don't know how he's doing it, honestly. It's got to be some type of drug out there or something. That boy got a lot of energy, man. I truly respect it, how he keep the guys going, because it take a lot to get a lot of grown men moving in the right direction. So every day he got great energy. He real positive, man. So a lot of respect to him.
This is your third head coach, third offensive coordinator, I think, as well. Are you just getting used to that?
That's the league, man. Yeah. I would say so. You never really know, honestly. You just got to be happy that you're still here. You still got a chance to kind of prove yourself, play on this stage, and have this opportunity, honestly.
So obviously Ashton Jeanty is a talented guy, but how do you think that he can really bolster this offense?
I think the game of football is built around running the ball, honestly. So if he could come in and do what I think and hope he can do, I feel like it's going to be a fun year for us.
Did you
ago, we talked about the differences. As a player, can a new beginning, can differences motivate you guys or help you guys out on the field in any way?
I think ultimately it's up to the player. I think we got the type of guys on the team who want to prove themselves, who want this opportunity, because when it's a new staff, that means we all on the even playing ground right now. So everybody trying to get that first step, that leg up, and show what they could do. So I think it'll definitely help.
When you saw the schedule come out, did you notice week 1 right away? And
how could I not? How could I not? You know what I'm saying? That was home for a long time. I had a lot of good memories there. So I'm excited truly to go back and play there, see the crowd, see the place, and get a dub. You know, that'd be cool.
So last time we talked to you, you're coming off. You got that 1,000-yard mark, which was very important to a lot of people around here, even more so than you, to get it for you. Did you process that in off-season? Did you take time to think about what that meant to a lot of people, not just you, but a lot of people around you?
Oh, no, definitely. We definitely had a lot of conversations about it. A lot of people are real happy about the work they put into it, and I appreciate that because it was a team effort. It wasn't just me going out there running routes, catching passes. I had guys who helped me watch film, guys who throw to me when ain't nobody around, guys who just keep me uplifted mentally when it don't look good. So shout out to all of them because that was a group achievement, and I enjoyed it.
What has it been like working with Geno Smith, in terms of just the way that he throws, his kind of mannerisms? What have you kind of taken from him so far?
He's a vet, honestly. I think I truly mean that, and I feel like this is the first time where I've had it in a minute. I had Tom for a year. That was a cool experience, but having Geno, it kind of brings in a sense of stability, if that makes sense. Like I said, he know what he's doing. He show up the same every day. His personality seems the same every day. I haven't seen him have a bad day yet, so I can't have no bad days if the leader not having no bad days.
Jakobi, you've always been known as kind of like an underrated player who just gets the job done, and Geno has been the same way. He's been through a lot of adversity in his own career. How do you guys maybe relate as teammates?
I think it's the same mentality, honestly. He got a family that he's trying to feed, and he's trying to more so prove to himself that he got what it takes to be out here. And it's the same with me. I'm trying to feed my family and also go out here and show that I could be a dominant football player and do the things it takes to help the team win. So that's pretty much it, honestly, simple.
You talk about home was New England. This has been your home now going into year 3. Do you want to stay here? I know that there's a business side to football, and you're going into the last year of your contract here. Is this kind of where you want to be?
Yeah, I want to be here for sure, but that's all I can really say on it right now. You know what I mean? That's business between us and top floor, so I'm gonna just hold that one down for now.
New England's obviously different from Las Vegas. Just where you're looking back on you living here, working here, what kind of experiences have been acclimating to this area of the country?
It's hot as hell. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's high. You high up here. It's a cool place though. It was a different experience, and like I said, I've been over there. That was cool, but I enjoy my life here in Vegas, and it's been fun here. Hopefully I can stick around and keep making plays, keep winning football games, or win more football games. Honestly, that'd be cool. We'll see where this thing goes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, questions?
Congratulations on the new deal. How happy does it make you feel being here now for even longer, 4 more years?
Yeah, it's really exciting. The last couple of years have had some pretty dark moments, and it's been rough. We've lost a lot of games, more than we feel like we should have, and so I'm really optimistic about the future of this organization and the leadership that's in place. And I feel good about the way we're headed, and I didn't want to miss that. And so I'm excited to be here. I want to be a Raider for life. I've been pretty clear about that the whole time. And so I think both sides kind of wanted that in the negotiations. So it's good that we got to a great place. And I'm just really excited for the future now.
Was it a smooth, easy process, or was it take a while? How did that go?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, both sides kind of want the same thing. They just wanted it different time periods and, different financial spots. And I don't think it was, by any means hostile or anything like that. It was just kind of a process we had to work through. You know how it is.
AJ, not that it would have. Sorry about that. Not that it would have made a difference either way, but the fact that it is under this new regime now. have you sensed a difference here with this new regime, and does that make it even better that now you're marching forward with that?
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest with you, I haven't been this excited to come to work in a really long time. I'm having more fun playing football than I've had in quite a while, and showing up to work every day has been the easiest it's been. And so, yeah, when you have the opportunity to sign a deal with a regime like that and with people you really trust and with an organization you truly feel like is headed in the right direction, it makes the process easier for sure.
AJ, you mentioned to a reporter that going into that 3-day mini camp in Oakland, you thought this might be my last 3 days of football. Now here you are, here all these years later. How's that feel? What do you think about when you think about this?
Yeah, it feels unbelievable. I mean, I just feel like I'm on so much borrowed time. And I showed up to that mini camp, and I really just felt like this could be it. And I'm going to go in every single one of these 3 days, and I'm going to get all the juice I can. And I've been trying to keep that same mentality. And, yeah, I'm just on absolute borrowed time. I enjoy it every single day. I don't think there's anybody that has more fun at work than I do. And so, yeah, it's such a blessing.
You're not calling IBM anytime soon?
No, IBM, I'm never showing up.
You talk about going back to those minicamp days. You're one of 4 last Oakland Raiders still on this team. You know, how much does that mean to you? And also, how have you assumed that leadership role, knowing you've been here for that long and the team's looking, at you?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. And I think that, me, Daniel, Max, and Colton, we're kind of in a competition at this point, Somebody's going to be the last Oakland Raider, and I think all 4 of us want it to be us. And so the 4 of us kind of have a competition going on to see who gets to hold that title. And it means a lot. And I think having been here through the different through the different regimes we've had, the different coaching staffs, the different cities, the different buildings, the different stadiums, I think it's so cool that I'm able to tell a piece of the history of the Raiders and that I'm able to be here for all of those kind of swinging stories. And so, yeah, I think that it's something that I take a lot of pride in, and I think it's something that definitely impacts the ability to lead on the team because you kind of really have seen how we got to where we are. And the teams change every year, but there's kind of a story that kind of flows through. And so I'm one of the guys that can really tell that story and impart to the younger guys, like, how great of a position we're in, really.
Where does Ray Golson fit in that race?
Yeah, well, I don't know. He's kind of like the kid that moved out and then comes back in, so I don't know. He didn't mention me in his press conference the other day, and he apologized for that already. So, yeah, I guess he does. I don't mention him either. That seems fair, right?
A lot of turnover upstairs, coaching staff, but Tom's back. I guess, what does it mean to have him back, but also the organization saying, hey, we believe what the special teams guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the special teams has produced the last couple of years, and I think that obviously this new regime saw that. I think from a continuity standpoint, I think it's huge. Me and him speak the same language. We've got so many things that we've sort of figured out through the years. We have a shorthand, and we understand each other, and I think that extends to the whole special teams and kind of being able to build upon. We were pretty young on teams last year. We had a lot of rookies out there, and being able to build on that foundation into year 2, I think it's going to give us a lot of flexibility. We're going to have more pitches that we can throw and more creative things we can do.
With guaranteed money, is there going to be a big ticket purchase for you, and what's it going to be?
I actually made the big ticket purchase before I signed the deal. All of my plants died, so we just re-landscaped our yard. So shout out to Antonio at Moon Valley Nurseries. So I'm pretty excited that I get to stay here and watch those plants grow up. Because I don't know if you guys have bought plants before, but they're really, really expensive. And so, yeah, that was the big ticket purchase. There's a couple of new queen palm trees in the backyard and a couple sweet bay laurels on the side.
I hope he gives you a break on that.
Yeah, he was a good guy. He was good people. we might have to reverse invoice Moon Valley for this. No free shout-outs.
Daniel hit a shot out of the mud onto the green the other day. Looked like I saw on social media. Was that the most impressive shot you've seen this summer?
Yeah, it was, the best thing I've seen all week. It was unbelievable. I think it's probably the best golf shot I've ever seen. And he did 2-putt from there, and I did beat him on the round. But I'm happy to give him his props for that shot. It was a heck of a play.
You guys all set?
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks. See you guys for the next 5.
All right.